Hello. I had a little trouble getting on tonight. I'm not sure, my phone froze for some reason. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Tonight's card, we are going to be using the Cup of Tea bundle along with the Painted Texture 3D embossing folder. And so this is the design of our card tonight. I got this design from my amazing upline, Jamie. She did a little class for all of us that are on her Art and Soul team. And she had us do 5 different ways to use designer series paper. And so this is one of the designs that she had, and I got permission to feature this card live tonight. So I thought I would just let you know how this design came to be. I am using the Cup of Tea photo polymer stamp set. This is from the annual catalog, so you're not going to find this in your mini catalog, the new one that just came out. This is in the annual catalog. And so I'm only using a couple of the stamps. I'm going to be using this tag stamp here, and then I'm going to be using the I Miss You for inside of it. And then on the inside, I'm going to use this floral teacup here. So that's going to be what I'm going to be stamping with. And then for the dies, these dies are really neat because they cut out, like this die cuts out the wedge shape here, and then this teacup will cut out either of these teacups. And then there's these little tiny tags that could go on as, like, you know, a little tea bag tag outside of the cup. But I'm just going to be using this die here for my little tag to cut out that tag there. So I'm just using this one die today, but I have used these awesome dies in the past. So if you don't have this set, you might want to think about getting it. It is mini cut and emboss friendly, so it should fit on there. And then the embossing folder that I'm using is also from the annual catalog. It is the Painted Texture 3D embossing folder, and I already took the liberty of embossing the panel that we're using tonight, but I'll show you the sandwich that you would put it on to go through your machine. If you're new to watching me, my name is Jillian Good, and I am with Dyed with Love. I'm an independent demonstrator for Stampin' Up, and my blog is called Dyed with Love, and that name came from just the fact that our inks are made with dye, and you know, you make a card and you send it with love. So that's where Dyed with Love came from. Here I've got my panels for my card. Don't forget that celebration is going on now, so you're going to want to get your orders in. It ends the end of February, and there's only going to be one this year, so you're going to want to get your orders in. Okay, so let's get down to our card. All right, so I am using a what I like to call an easel fold card. So it is a 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. So it's a little bit different. You still get the 2 from one piece, but it's just a little bit different. It's cut up and down instead of side to side. And I'm gonna just fold that and burnish it. This cardstock is Parakeet Party cardstock. And there we've got our card base. And then next, I have my embossed Parakeet Party panel. And somehow this got on one of my, I cleaned my stamps with baby wipes, and apparently one of those got on this cardstock. But my panel will go right over that and cover it right up, so no harm done. All right, so this panel is 4 by 5 1/4, so it just gives an 1/8 around mat. If you'll notice, I decided I wanted a tighter mat than my sample card. So this one has a 1/4 inch around. So if you like this better, this one is 3 3/4 by 5. And this one here with the tighter mat is 4 by 5 1/4. So your choice, which one do you like better, the wider mat or the tighter mat? You let me know. I would love to hear your preference. All right, so we've got our mat there. Now for our DSP panels. So the name of this designer series paper is Tea Boutique, and it's part of the suite that the bundle comes with. And we have 2 DSP panels. They're both the same size. They are 2.5 by 3 3/4. So we've got 2 DSPs, 2.5 by 3 3/4. And then I have my white cardstock to mat that on. And those are 2 5/8 by 3 7/8. So it's just an eighth more than the DSP. So that just leaves a little 16th mat around. So just 2 that same exact size. And that's all of our paper cuts for today. I'm going to put my DSP on my mats with liquid glue because it's kind of a tight edge. I want to make sure that it gets on there nice and straight. So I'm using my Tombow liquid glue. And I'm just going to place that on my basic white cardstock. And mat that down. So if you prefer, I do have a YouTube channel now. If you prefer to watch the replays on YouTube, you can check out my blog on Friday. I'm going to do blog posts with all the details for this card. And then it'll have a link to the YouTube where I'll upload this live video. So if you prefer the replay on YouTube, head on over there. Click subscribe and you'll get notifications every time I add a new tutorial. Alright, so I've got my 2 panels on there with the liquid glue, nice and tight. And I'm going to put my my embossed panel on with dimensionals. I've been having so much fun planning different activities and different things. On Saturday, we had our Winter Occasions card class, and it was a lot of fun, and we put together some really pretty cards. If you haven't caught my reel about it, you will want to check that out. I will be having another one in the spring, so we'll have a spring occasions virtual card class in the spring. You'll probably be seeing things about that pretty soon, maybe in a week or so, about registration for that. I'm gonna put a couple more of these on just to pop that up. So keep your eye out for that. I have to register a little bit early so that I can order all the supplies and cut them up and send them out to you. So you'll be seeing that soon. It'll be probably towards the end of March. I have to check the weekends. It'll be on a Saturday, 2 to 4. I just have to check which weekend works best. And then you'll see all sorts of stuff about it. You won't miss it. All right, now we have that popped up with dimensionals, and we have our two bases over here. So I'm going to do my stamping. So I'm using the little tag stamp, and then I forgot to mention earlier, I'm also using this flower stamp. I'll show you on here, this one here. I'm using this flower stamp too to give a little background on the tag. So first I'm going to stamp our tag in Starry Sky on this little piece. This is a perfect thing to use your scraps for from your stamp bin or your scrap bin. I just organized my scraps. I was inspired by one of the other ladies on the Art and Soul team to organize my scraps, and now I am much more likely to use them. All right, so I'm just gonna put this nice and firmly down, get my outline of my tag, and I'm gonna take my flower and I'm gonna stamp this in Pale Papaya. So this is just a little stamp, so I have a little block. So I just put it on the two corners to cover most of it up. It's a nice light color, so the Starry Sky goes on it nicely. And then I'm just gonna take this off and get my I'll Miss You that's stuck on the back here. There we go. All right. I'm gonna put the I'll Miss You on the little stamp block. If you're having trouble getting your stamps, placing your stamps correctly, you're going to want to pick the stamp block that is the closest in size to the stamp you're using. So I'm using a tiny stamp, so I'm using a small stamp block. It makes it harder. If I were to use this big old stamp block for this tiny stamp, it would be harder for me to get it precisely on my stamp here. So I'm going to just stamp that right in the middle. I Miss You. And there we've got our little tag. All right, and now I'm going to get my cut and emboss things out because I want to show you the sandwiches that you need to make for the two things. So I told you earlier I'd show you the embossing sandwich. So for a 3D embossing folder, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take your embossing folder, put your cardstock right in there and close it up. Then you're going to use just, it says it right here on your base which ones to use, but you're going to use the big guy, number 1, and then you're going to put down your embossing folder with your cardstock in it, and then you're going to put down your gray plate. Okay, this gray plate is for your 3D embossing folders, and then you just run that through just like that and it'll come right out. Now for cutting is different. Now I'm going to set this up for my cutting my little tag, and so you'll see. For cutting, you take the big one, number 1, and then you want number 2 and 2 number 3s. So you're going to put a number 3 down. Then you're going to put your piece that you're cutting. I'm just going to trim that. Then you're going to put your die on. And then for me, especially for this little one, I'm going to use a Post-it, or you could use Post-it tape. I'm just going to put that on to keep that in place. And then I'm going to put my other number 3 cutting plate on there. Okay, and now my emboss machine, my cut and emboss machine is right behind me. I'm just going to run that through, and I'll be right back. Okay, here we go. Now I've got my tag all cut out. There we go. Oh, I moved a little bit. These Post-its that I have they're not brand new, so they're not working as well as you would want. But that's our little tag. It's back. All right, so now we have our panels and our tag. All right, now we can put this all together. So I'm going to glue on my panels first. I'm trying to make sure this is like not, there we go. I'm trying to get my paper less crooked, but seems to be making it worse, sorry. Okay, I'm gonna glue this down with liquid glue onto my paper here. I'm going to put my more subtle pattern in the back because I want my pretty teapots in the front. Just going to do that a little bit of kilter. Now you just want to be careful that your edges are still inside the card measurements because it'll be tricky to get it in your envelope if you go too far over. And then I'm gonna adhere my teapots down. So if you're, hi Jamie, thanks for hopping on. If you're watching out there and you haven't said hello, go ahead and say hello and tell me which do you prefer, coffee or tea. That goes for you guys as well on the replay. Let me know which you like better, coffee or tea. I am a big coffee person, but I have my sister's more of a tea drinker, and I have a bunch of sister-in-laws that love tea as well. You don't have to be an either or, but let me know that too if you like both. Okay, I got to talking about coffee and tea, and I did not tell you what I was using. Okay, so this is the baker's twine. This is the white one. It's a set of a whole bunch of them. This is the white one. And I just cut a length that I thought was long enough to tie. So I probably cut too much, but I prefer to cut it too long and then trim rather than have it be too short. And so what I'm doing with this is I'm just threading it through the hole that I created by using dimensionals here. This is a little tricky. If you wanted, you could do this whole part before you put it down. And I'm not sure why I didn't do it that way, but I did it this way for the sample as well. So it'd probably be easier for you if you do it before you put it on, but I didn't think of that until right now. Ah, Jamie, you iced tea. Yes. I do love iced tea. I sort of forgot that iced tea was an option. I'm a big fan of, like, when we go out for a restaurant and I want something besides, like, soda or something, I like to get unsweetened iced tea. All right, I'm just doing a bow. I'm doing for lack of a more professional term, the bunny rabbit ear tie, where you take two loops and tie them together rather than like when you tie the shoe and you go all around. I just call it the bunny ear tie. Just to make a little bow, and then I'm going to sneak this underneath there. All right. So I'm going to trim my lengths here, my strings. And then for this, I'm going to put a half dimensional on it, and I'm going to sneak it under there. Just going to pop it under the bow. So it kind of looks like it's tied on. It's like a faux tie on. And you could, if you wanted to, you could even put a glue dot on here to make sure it stays in place. But I just kind of like how that adds a little touch to it. And then now I'm just going to finish off with my favorite embellishments, the rhinestone basic jewels. These are my go-to for pretty much everything. I think because they come in with the 3 different sizes, and then you can color them with the blends, so they're very versatile, and you get so many of them. All right, so I'm just gonna pop these. Oh, I'll just do a little differently on the one live. So I used a big one down here, so I'm gonna use a medium and 2 smalls up here. Kind of do just a little sparkle to add to it. All right, and then that finishes off the front of our card. And then for the inside, I'm just going to take my teacup here. My 8-year-old loves tea. She loves gnomes, if you've been paying attention on my on my posts lately, you know that my daughter loves gnomes, but she also loves tea. So when she saw this card, she was excited about the fact that I had a tea set. So she had me stamp a whole bunch of these teacups so that she could just color them in. All right, so I'm using the Starry Sky again. And I'm just going to wipe some of this moisture off from the baby wipe. All right, and I'm going to open this up, and I'm just going to put it down here. Just a little something for the inside. Just a little something on the corner here. All right. And there we have it. We have our card for today. So again, the name of this stamp set is Cup of Tea, and it coordinates with the teacup dies. And on Friday, I will have my blog up, and it'll have a link to the YouTube if you want to do the replay. Although you could always pop on here and watch it again. But my blog will have the measurements, so you don't have to remember those, and all of that. So I'll make sure to put the colors and everything. So pop back and grab that link on Friday to see all the measurements. So thanks for popping on. I'm happy to be here with you guys. I'll see you again next week. Have a great night.